it appears, reports out there from Jason Lockenfora, the NFL insider over at CBS Sports, he had a tweet out there that says the two teams have been notified and the Eagles and the Redskins will play this weekend. I don't know if that means they're going to play somewhere or in Washington at FedEx Field, but John Keim, ESPN.com's NFL Nation, joins us now, and down there in D.C. should have a better answer for us as the Eagles and the Redskins. A lot of contingency thoughts out there, but John, any anticipation of moving off of 1 o'clock at FedEx Field now on Sunday?
Not at this point. The forecast is still very fluid.
Like there's a hurricane blowing through here in Atlantic City right now, but we'll bring John back in. And, John, you were talking about how the weather is still very fluid. I guess a little different here. We're on the beach from where you guys are, a little bit more inland.
Yeah, no. So that's why I don't think that right now there's no talk about moving the game at all, because they still don't know where the storm is going to go, and the greater chance is that it'll just push out to sea, and that, if anything, we'll just get some rain and some wind on Sunday, but nothing that should disrupt the game.
Now, obviously, and I saw your stuff over at the NFL Nation, you said the Redskins are practicing outdoors to prepare for the sloppy conditions. I guess, you look at the Redskins team. Over the last couple of years, I don't know that they've had an identity. They're 1-2 now. What would the identity of this team try to be, and would the weather be a factor in kind of clouding that identity?
Oh, no, I think the weather actually crystallizes their identity, because what they want to be is a physical run-heavy offense, and a team that they want to be run-heavy, good defense. And that's what they were in the first 2 weeks. Last week against the Giants, they were neither. But even in the loss to Miami, they did run the ball well, and they did play good defense. They just committed turnovers and penalties, and that cost them the game. But the running the ball, very physical, and stout D, that's what they want to be. And I actually think for the first time in a couple of years, they have a better idea of who they need to be as far as an offense and a team goes.
Obviously the Cousins decision made a lot of waves. I wondered if, this would help them, get off to a good start, meaning that the players backed the coach in making that decision, that was a popular decision amongst the players. And so far at 1-2, I don't know that's worked out, but is that still a fluid situation in Washington? Are there people taking sides still on who the quarterback should be?
Well, it depends on when you say people. Inside the organization, not really at this point. Fans, of course. All I have to do is tweet a mention of either guy, and you're going to get 25 replies about what they think of whichever guy. And the problem is that they did make the change, and they're not winning. And I think if you're going to make a change like this, even though I think the change was justified because you just didn't see enough growth in Griffin's game, that the other guy still has to go out there and play better. And while they have seen growth in Cousins' game, you still need to see the results. And the results thus far is 1 win, 4 interceptions, and only 4 touchdown passes. So I think continues like that, then I think you'll start to have some issues. But right now, the coaching staff is staying patient with Cousins. I think, again, if they go out and lose Sunday, I think the fans is all patience with everybody here.
John Keim, NFL Nation, covers the Redskins. Obviously, always a big matchup since Deshaun's been down there. Hamstring problems, and the anticipation would be, well, this is the kind of injury that would keep him out a couple of weeks. Is the anticipation that he will not play on Sunday?
At this time, if he played, because he hasn't practiced since his injury. The weather this week, as you know, has been very bad, and today they weren't going to put him out there. He hasn't even been out on the practice field, even to do some light running or anything like that. So I'd be really surprised if he did go play. Now, clearly, I think you know that this is one game he would love to play, and he had 2 really good games against the Eagles last season, and I think this is the game where they desperately could use him. So I think there's a lot of incentive, but he made it clear after he was hurt that the one thing he's going to protect are his legs, and with the hamstring injury, he's going to be very cautious coming back because he knows that if he loses his legs and loses his feet, there's not a lot left in his game.
Yeah, and, there's so much argument still about him here with the way the Eagles are struggling on offense and what he added to them and what they're lacking now. But 2 years now, has Deshaun – I know they haven't had a lot of wins, and the people here will say, well, Washington's not doing anything with him either. But has he been a major presence for the Redskins?
Yes, he has. I mean, and he's been. Listen, I've watched this guy from afar for his whole career, and then seeing him now up close, you would think when they got him, who he would be. He's a guy who's not always going to show up to the off-season stuff, but he is going to scare teams deep. Not going to block a whole lot, but he'll make some plays, and that's what he has been. And I think watching the Eagles, I think they could use a guy like that, whether it's he or somebody else, although the way Bradford's been thrown, I'm not sure it would make much of a difference. But he has been a help to them, and I think where you see it is in how teams, for example, I'll be curious to see how the Eagles play them Sunday without Jackson in the lineup, because, as you know, they want to stop the run. And I think, there aren't a lot of guys who are going to threaten the Eagles over the top the way Jackson would. So now I don't know that he's a guy that they're going to have here long term, but he is a guy who has been productive for them. I think you need to have a guy who's a little bit more sturdy going forward, but he has been what I thought he would be, and I think what they thought he would be.
John Keim, NFL Nation, ESPN.com. John, finally, if you can give a little overview of the other injuries and how they would affect this team. And, obviously, Deshaun's the big name out there, but it seems like there are some other contributing players that may not be able to go on Sunday.
Well, D'Angelo Hall's already out. He's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks with the toe injury. But the other one to watch is cornerback Chris Culliver. So already with Hall out, Culliver did not practice today because of a swelling or sore knee. Heard it yesterday. They're hopeful he'll be out there Sunday. If he can't go, now you're down to a third corner as your number one corner, Bashaud Breeland, and he started last year, so that's okay. But then opposite him, you may have Will Blackman, who was cut earlier this year and some Redskins after the season started. You might have Quentin Dunbar play, who was a receiver when training camp opened, switched to corner, and was just signed off the practice squad. And then in the slot, you'd have a rookie safety, Keyshawn Jarrett, who has done a nice job in the slot, but it's just that lot of things in flux in the secondary, and it hasn't been good. So it's been disruptive since camp opened. I think it eventually will lead to some problems. So that's an area. And then linebacker Perry Riley has a calf injury, did not play last week, hasn't practiced this week. I don't think there's a huge drop-off when Will Thompson, who replaces him, is in there. Not a tremendous loss. I think Culliver would be a big loss.
All right, there's a look at the Redskins. John Keim over at ESPN.com's NFL Nation as the Eagles and the Redskins preparing for a Sunday 1 o'clock game at FedEx Field. And the anticipation is when they will play. We'll keep our eye on that. And to see our old buddy Deshaun Jackson, possibly. It doesn't look like it might be good for the Eagles that he won't play on this game on Sunday, because he really burned them in the game last year. John, it's always a pleasure to catch up. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thanks.